It is day 12 of Veda.
So, how much of my tuition money went into building you?
And here's something I shot not as far back as December, but I think it was March. Well, I still have 2 movie passes left. Eventually, I've got to upload everything, hopefully in order, so that that won't seem like a non sequitur. And the Roland Theater, which is the only place these are good for, that's not a rating, is showing Zootopia, and originally I had planned to avoid that film, if not like the plague, then at least like something vaguely plague-like, but I've been seeing these internet reviews which have been positive, though at least 2 of them have also talked about how great they thought that DMV sequence seen in the trailer over and over and over was, and I didn't like it the first time, and it doesn't help that the voiceover said that the bunny had 48 hours to solve the crime. You're wasting how long? 12 hours? Now you have 36? Well, maybe that was just hyperbole and has nothing to do with it, but I really don't like that gag. Do they even have to go to the DMV? I mean, they're the police. Surely they can... Why would they have to do that? I mean, isn't that information that should be readily available to the police? They've got computers, they're fairly high-tech. Well, we'll see. Well, here I am. Wish me luck. Wow, that thing's high. Okay, where to begin? Well, get this out of the way. Spoiler warning! Even though I don't think I'll start with spoilery stuff, but this way I can be safe, plus, for those who consider basic plot points to be spoilers, there aren't really many people like that, unless it's a film like Cabin in the Woods. I guess I should start by apologizing for my rant regarding the DMV sequence. It actually makes sense in context. She's not in the system yet, and the fox is not a policeman. He is a street hustler who she has basically forced into helping her, and he has a friend at the DMV. This is the only way they can run the plate, and... she really does only have 48 hours, and that did eat into her time a lot, and he is deliberately wasting time because, well, for one thing, I don't think he realizes the severity of the thing. The other thing is they're not getting along. Well, buddy sort of plot. But, yeah, as other people who have done a lot more reviewing than I have said, the film, she does a fairly decent job of dealing with prejudice without being... at least not being as heavy-handed as some things are. It is pretty obvious who the villain is once, well, she has a glint in her eye, and maybe that's supposed to be a hint. I don't know. If there were children, they weren't around me, so... that's one thing. It might actually have been interesting seeing it in a theater with children just to hear, oh my gosh, we're too stupid to have noticed that obvious hint! Maybe it wasn't that obvious. I don't know. It seemed obvious to me, but maybe it's not supposed to be that big a surprise. Well, you already know. I did give the spoiler warning, yeah, but it's the sheep, assistant mayor. One very, very ridiculously minor thing, which... probably wouldn't bother that many people. The animal naturist resort, they were naked, but they didn't have any visible genitalia. Even animals that would have visible genitalia. And I realize this is America and a G-rated family film, so there's no way they would show it, but it's just, oh, it's shocking. No, it's not. They're not even, they're neutered. Yeah, but I did enjoy the film, and as I said, I do apologize for my rant. In context, the DMV sequence does make sense. It would have been funnier if I hadn't been forced to sit through it in the trailer. I don't know, I think they could have done the trailer without that sequence. It just made me unnecessarily dislike the film. Oh, a few other things I forgot to mention. Why do so many films do the cliche of the hero decides that they've messed everything up, so they quit and run off, and then they see the error of their ways or find a clue or something, and then they come back? Actually, interestingly, one cliche that they did during that still worked, where she finds out that her childhood nemesis and her family are now friends and lucrative business partners, and the family thanks her for broadening their minds so that they would consider doing business with a fox, and the old enemy thanks her for helping him see the error of his ways. That worked, despite being a cliche that's often been done to death. And speaking of cliches, she just happens to find the very thing she was looking for. The Howlers. Yeah, okay, guess I can understand that nobody bothered to research any other possible definitions of howler because, well, they thought it was the wolves, and then the police were busy quelling riots. But still, nobody knows about the effects of these flowers except for a family of carrot farmers out in the sticks. And for that matter, I don't know, there are still plenty of poisons that are indetectable, or maybe they couldn't detect the flower pollen, whatever, flowerness in the people's bodies. That's possible, I guess. I will also give the film credit. They have traffic cams, but they've never managed to track down any of the criminals involved in this scheme with the traffic cams before because the assistant mayor, who, as we've seen, has access to the traffic cams, was running things. So if there was any evidence, she made sure it was disappeared before any cops could see it. I don't know. Decent film. I just hoped there'd be a little more depth to it. It's still much better than I expected, including the DMV scene. I have apologized for complaining about that, although I still maintain that I would have been more eager to see the film if they hadn't used that in the trailer. I had a root canal today. Edit a long string of this out.